Good evening, friends. Welcome to the channel, The Indian Bank Wala. Now we are going to study the banking related news of 23rd of August 2022. This is primarily focused on the interview preparation for the BOI Grade Officer Exam 2022, which is recently held on 21st of August 2022. First important news for today is that Indian private sector banks grow branch network, public sector banks shrink physical presence. Now, this is why this is important because in today's time when everything is being digitalized, see, several Indian private sector banks are expanding their local branch networks, contrary to the expectations that digitalization would obviate the need for presence physical presence of branches, even as PSBs are shrinking their physical presence. Now, they may ask in an interview that why public sector banks, okay, because of digitalization, public sector bank branches are decreasing, but why uh, there is an increase in private sector uh, bank branches? Now, the reason is simple. They have said that it is attributed to the mergers that saw 10 private public sector banks becoming four big banks. For example, on 1st April 2019, there was a merger of Vijaya Bank and Dena Bank being merged into Bank of Baroda. After that, in Union Bank, Corporation Bank and Andhra Bank got merged. Then Syndicate Bank got merged into Canara Bank. Allahabad Bank got merged into Indi- Indian Bank, and two banks were there which got merged in PNB. That I would like you to write in the comment section. And for your information, for your basic idea, you should remember that there are almost uh, 15,000 from 15,000 to almost 16,000 branches are there of private sector banks, and total public sector bank branches are nearly 60,000. No need to remember the exact figure, it is just for an idea. Bounce rate inches up to 22.22% in July. A very good figure, 2222. Now, what is bounce rate? Bounce rate is, as you can see, the share of failed auto debit request on the NACH portal. Who maintains the NACH? NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India. So, on this platform, for example, you may be knowing that when we get a loan. For example, someone approaches Bank of Baroda for car loan, and they say that I have an account with HDFC. I do not want to open an account with you. So then the officials of Bank of Baroda will ask for a cancelled check through which they put it in the Natch portal. Through which every month the EMI, whatever the amount is, will come to the uh, loan amount in the Bank of Baroda account. Now, when the customer is not maintaining the sufficient balance in the account of HDFC, then this bouncing of auto debit requests happen. So they say that it has increased to 22.22% in July. The reason they say is that the share of failed auto debit transactions stood at 29.11% in volume in terms of July, down 11 bps as compared to previous month. This is mainly because of the increase in repo rate by by RBI, and hence there is a little bit increase in the amount of EMI, because of which this has happened. Because, for example, say the EMI amount is 15,000. Now, customer genuinely maintains only 15,000 in his or her account, but now the EMI has been increased to 15,200 or 300 or whatever the amount is. But there is not sufficient balance in the account. That is why this is happening. This is one of the reasons, but you should keep it in mind. RBI governor says inflation has peaked, will approach 4% target in steady manner. The governor Shaktikanta Das seeks to slow India's inflation to 4% within 2 years after hitting its peak in the last few months. Okay, the RBI has increased the policy repurchase, that is nothing but repo rate, by a total of 140 basis points. Now, RBI increases the basis point because so that there is less of the borrowing in the market, and hence when there is less of the borrowing, there is less money in the market. When there is less money in the market, people are going to not going to buy much of the things, and then prices will go down. So that comes under the monetary policy. So in India, currently the policy which RBI is maintaining is that to target the inflation from within 2 to 6%, which is 4% plus minus 2%. So that's what they are targeting, and they say that in next 2 years they will achieve. ICRA reports says that 13% GDP growth in quarter one financial year 23. Now, many of you might be happy that India's GDP growth is projected to spike to a four-quarter high of 13% in quarter one but the reason is low base of COVID 2.0. Now, in last year, the growth was very less. For example, they say 4.1% in quarter four financial year 2022, and so yes, the denominator was very less, and hence the growth is. Uh, we are able to visualize that the growth is more, but in fact, it is a normal growth. So that's one. Because they may ask that how is it possible that India is now growing at 13%? These type of questions are being asked in the interview, and it is pertinent for you to make your opinions and ideas upon those things. Now, banks' low-cost CASA deposits up in sync with the rise in UPI transactions. Now, this is important because why? Now, CASA deposits in banks are increasing, but how they are in sync with the UPI transactions? Now, let's study it. The spectacular jump in the UPI transactions over the last few years may be one of the reasons for the growth in banking systems' low-cost current account saving accounts deposit. Now, CASA is nothing but current account saving account balances. Now, every bank wants to increase its CASA percentage. Why? Because it is a low cost fund. See, the bank only pays in current account. Bank pays nil interest. In current account, it pays around 4 to 5%. So bank gets deposits on a very cheaper rates, which increases its net interest income. For example, the bank is getting funds at 2 to 3%, and then loaning it at 9-10%. So that 6 to 7% is net interest margin for the bank, right? Now they say that the CASA deposits of scheduled commercial banks increased from 42% of the total deposits as March and 2019 to 45.15% as of March 2022. Now, why is it happening that CASA is increasing? They say that industry experts say that bank customers are maintaining higher balances in the account linked to UPI. Now, because people are using UPI through Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, etc. Now they have to maintain a balance in their savings account for that. Earlier, what used to happen that before that era, people used to issue checks, post-dated checks. For example, I am paying Ram payment of 15,000. And I want to pay him next month. So I'll write on the check the date of the next month, and I may not maintain the balance currently. And I know that the check is of 15th of September. So before that, I will break my FD, and the amount will be reflected in my savings account. But now that's not the case. Now people are also loving UPI payments because there are no charges involved in it. So that's one of the reasons. So now many of you are still focusing on fretting about the cutoff. I have already posted in the group about how it may be. For example, I have said in professional knowledge, if you are scoring above 40 marks out of 100, for example, out of 100, which means 20 out of 50 questions, if you have answered, you are very much safe because the cutoff of last year was 33%. We are taking 40%, and on top of it the vacancies are high, which is again in your favor. And again, one more thing is that the paper was slightly difficult this time. Again, this is in your favor. Any new vacancy? Yes, there are multiple vacancies which will be lining up in few months. So you keep on preparing, and you must be abreast with the banking things going on in the banking industry, so that when you go in an interview, you can show that you belong to the industry. It automatically comes on your face and in your personality. So things don't happen in a day or two. Do not wait for the day when you will get the interview call and you will prepare it. Your banking related knowledge has already been tested in the exam. Now what you have to show in an interview is your presence of mind, is your attitude, that you belong to a banking sector. So that is what you have to do right now. So there's a quote of the day by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was a Stoic philosopher. Now, many of you would have seen the Hollywood movie Gladiator. In it, there was a king who dies, and whose son become the king later on. That king was Marcus Aurelius, and he was actually a philosopher, which is not being depicted in in the movie, but just for the sake of it, I am telling you. So Marcus Aurelius was a philosopher at that time, and he was a Stoic philosopher. There is a book called Meditations, which is written by him. Actually, it was his personal diary, which after he died was being published. So Meditations, it's the book by him, and from that I have taken this quote. Remember how long have you been putting this off? How many extensions the gods gave you, and you did not use them? At some point, you have to recognize what the world it is you belong to, what power rules it, and from what source you spring. That there is a limit to the time assigned to you, and if you don't use it to free yourself, it will be gone and never return. So he's trying to say that, in short, we should all value our time. We should always think that time is limited, and it is. But there is money, which is through which people get power. Now there is wealth, which is more important than money, because if you have health, you can attain the money again. And then there is time. If you do not have time, even with good health, you will not attain something. So don't waste your time. This is very precious time. You all are young, preparing for the jobs, and so that's what I wanted to say. Any other queries? I am there to answer all your queries, and I am launching the course by Saturday or Sunday for interview preparation. About me, you already know. I am a public sector banker with 4 years of experience working in credit, now in risk, specialist officer, and I have been writing all these exams since 5 years. So my experience, I would definitely love if it will be helpful to you. So thank you. That's it for today. Good luck. And of course, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment if you like it. Anything, even if you like the code, just write about it. Like, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon, because that's what motivates me. Our target for today's this lecture is at least 50 likes. It keeps me motivated to make videos for you, because when I come home after work and I make these videos, it makes me happy that people are liking it, and it motivates me. So thank you. Good day.